new picture. That's really nice.
What's going on, everybody? Good afternoon. Welcome to the second episode of the new show of my channel called Double Barrel Gaming Presents. And for anyone who's interested, this is a rebirth of the community spotlight that was a big part of my channel when I started at the end of 2017. Now, of course, I'm absolutely stoked to have the entire crew from the Basement Radio Arcade podcast on today's show. But before we get into the origin stories of the panel members, I needed to do the proper BoomStick introductions. So let's get to it. First up, he's a gamer extraordinaire, creator and co-host of the Basement Radio Arcade podcast, outstanding community member, and secret agent of the Inner Circle Game Network, Star Wars fan who needs to see the reins pulled from the reins of the IP pulled from the clutches of the evil EA, and my very good friend Enrique. Welcome to the show, dude.
Hey, Boom! Thank you for that introduction, man. Appreciate, dude. I really appreciate you having all of us on in this community spotlight, man. And you know, I gotta say, man, love your work. You like I tell you, man, you're the hardest working guy in the business, man. And we got a lot of love for you and appreciate you doing this for us. So thank you again, man. It means a lot to us.
Listen, Enrique, you know what, your show was one of the first ones, like Crossfire and Dealer and Colt Eastwood and Iron Lord's podcast. You know, you guys were one of the first shows I listened to when I pulled myself away from the shenanigans known as the mainstream gaming media, where I learned that there were people out there who had a different voice, but a more honest voice, which is why I decided to support you guys. And I really want to get behind your channel because you put out a great product. I think more people need to listen. You guys have big time people on. You just had David Jaffe of God of War fame on your show the other day. It was great. All I'm going to say is that don't have kids around when you're listening, because he is a sailor.
Yes, there's intended for mature audiences.
Yeah, absolutely, and for mature. But you know what? Let me finish introducing this insanely talented panel of guys on your show. Next up, Director of Developer Relations for the Inner Circle podcast, indie game developer, lover of all things Nintendo, and Capcom superfan who wants to see the return of Resident Evil 3 and Dino Crisis, my man, B Money. Welcome to the show, dude.
Yo, Boom, I appreciate you having me, man. That was a crazy introduction.
Well, listen, I don't know if I'm ever going to get Cognito's, status, but he says he likes mine, so I'm going to take that as a W. So listen, welcome, dude. Great to have you here. We're going to get into the Tick Network. I think everyone needs to know about that. But next up, proud father and husband, a gamer who speaks his mind, and someone who says his opinion is his own. Panel member of the Scumcast, and considered to be one of the top agents of the hashtag Spectres organization. Please welcome Gaming Forte.
Yo, man. You get A+++. You graduated college with honors. I appreciate that awesome invite, man. Second time on the show with you, man.
Yes.
I'm glad to have the rest of the family on here with me, man. And I'm glad to chalk it up with you one more time, man.
This is great, dude. It was great to, like I said, it was so important to have everyone on, to have the whole crew, and I'm very honored that you guys respect the work enough that you're taking the time out of your Saturday with your families to hang out for 2 hours. But thanks again for that. But listen, we have to talk about the next guy. Next up, he's an artist with mad skills, full-time gamer, and a geek, according to himself. He's also a part-time jock, proud member to be. He's a proud multi-console gamer, and who has a backlog so big he may never close it out. Co-host on the Brat podcast and the Gaming Perspective podcast. Please welcome Eric J. Welcome to the show, dude.
Yo, Boom. Thank you for having me, man. I appreciate being here. Yeah, that intro, nice, man. Appreciate that.
Thank you very much, man. Like I said, I want to put everyone in the proper light. That's why these intros are so over the top, but you guys deserve it because, like I said, I've been a big fan of your work, and we're going to get everyone to know who you are. Get you guys some more followers on Twitter. Get that those subs on YouTube over 1,000. But we're going to talk about that in a second. Last, in no way least, he's appeared on the Breakfast with Boom podcast so many times, he has his own key to the kingdom. He's so good at first-person shooters that Deadpool wanted his autograph. Division agent who went into the dark zone and lived to tell the tale. Cog that keeps the wheels turning on Brap, my very good friend. Please welcome Slow-Mo Backslap.
Oh man, thank you, Boom. I appreciate that. Man, look, today's my birthday, and I feel like that was a nice little birthday gift. You know what I mean?
Happy birthday!
Happy birthday,
Slow-Mo.
Happy birthday, bro.
Yeah, man. I'm 38 now, man. It hurts to even say
28. It's a new 28, man.
Those numbers together, but it's you know, that introduction really it made me feel a little bit younger, you know.
I took 3 years off. I took 3 years off the top.
I'll take 35. Thanks, man.
Nice.
Well, listen, you know what? You know, we're here today. You know, before we get into the actual parts of the show, here's the thing. You know, we were talking pregame, but I want to talk to the community. You know, as a content creator who has been embraced by this community through trust, hard work, and I have a complete admiration for everyone that takes the time to listen to my shows. It is a big deal to me. I respect that time. But you know what? I normally don't ask for anything. In fact, I don't ask for anything at all. I have been blessed with super chats on a regular basis, and it's been nothing short of actual surreal to me. But I'm going to ask something of the community today. You know, right now as it stands, prior to going live on this show, the Basement Radio Arcade podcast is sitting 28 subs away from 1,000. And you know, as a YouTuber, as a content creator, that hitting that 1,000 is as important as starting your own channel. It is a badge of honor. It is a stepping stone to bigger and better things. And if you respect my content, if you listen to me on a regular basis, you know I don't sling any BS. And if I'm asking you to sub someone's channel, it's because I have not only subbed their channel, but I listen to their work. So that's what I'm going to do before we get into this show. As a favor to me, all I'm asking is that you get over to the Brap channel on YouTube and hit that sub button. It's going to mean a lot to them, but it's going to be meaning even more to me. And I stake my personal name as well as this channel's name on the fact that I guarantee you're going to like their work. And if you don't like their work and Boom steered you wrong, I'm going to encourage you to unsub my channel. That's how confident I am that you're going to enjoy these dudes. These guys are hardworking. They're all positive community members. And I believe in my heart that their show is worth your time. So, you know, please get over there. Let's try and get them to 1,000 before the end of this show. It would mean the world to me, and I think it would mean the world to them. But you know what? Let's open the show like this. You know, we want to know, Enrique, because I know you're one of the main hosts, right? Mm-hmm. It's on. You know, when you say Brap and you punch that in on Twitter, your name comes up. So, you know, I want the community to kind of know the who, the when, and the hows of the Basement Radio Arcade podcast, because you know what? It's a great show. You know, tell everyone about yourself and how did you get this crew together?
Oh man. Well, first, you know, Boom, that really means a lot for you to be so supportive and, you know, put your reputation out there on, you know, out there for us, man. I mean, that really means a lot, man. You know, and we've had you on the show a couple of times, and you know, just you've been a wonderful guest and you know, a wonderful ambassador to the community. And anyone who's listening who hasn't subbed to your channel, they need to do the same too, because you're one of the great ones out there right now, and we love listening to your show. So thank you again, man. And I just got notification that I got a sub. Thank you, Jake, who just subscribed to Brap. But geez, let's see here. You know, I actually, for a lot of you guys, actually, some people may or may not know, I actually started podcasting with Mike Mullis of the original Next Level Gaming podcast. And that was probably about 2.5 years ago.
Wow.
And it was me, Mike, Worry Wirt, and if you guys, big shout out to Worry, by the way, great dude. If you guys don't follow him on Twitter, definitely follow him and give his channel a sub too, because he's a great guy, just a great ambassador of the community as well. Puts out some really good content and just passionate about gaming. And it was me, Mike, and Worry, and I don't remember her name, Amanda something or the other on Twitter. I apologize, I don't remember her name. And we just started podcasting. Mike's like, yeah, I want to get back into podcasting, because he had ran a gaming site for quite some time, and gone to E3 and had this site, and I think life hit. He had kids, got married, and couldn't really dedicate time to the website, and so he started the NLG podcast and invited me on, and started doing that for a couple shows, and then just decided that I kind of want to do my own thing. I felt like, I can do this. And, just started a Basement Radio Arcade podcast. And I came up with a name because I was broadcasting from my basement.
Okay.
So I figured, why not? I couldn't think of anything else. I was like, oh, I'm just going to go with this. And I did. And, man, it's been quite a journey. And I've had, a variety of different hosts. Co-hosts. I first started out with, it was me and this guy named Lemieux66, who I actually met and I still keep in touch with. We're still friends. I met him on as an Xbox Live beta tester, believe it or not.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, like 17 years ago. And so we kept in touch, and then I asked him if he could help out, and he could, and he did when he could. And, we just started growing little by little. And I think, Eric, you were one of the first, not one of the first, but you were a few of the first folks to kind of subscribe to BRAP and started, I think, listening on a regular basis. I'm pretty sure you were there almost every podcast we did, man. In the live chat.
I followed you over from NLG.
That's right.
Showing support, because I was rocking with you, Mike and Worry and those guys,
That's right. Yep. And so we just started, growing, and invited Eric on to be a co-host as a guest, actually, first, and then a co-host after. And Eric agreed. And then I think we had, who else? Eric, man, I feel like we've had a couple co-hosts, man. Was it Mamacita rocking with us a little bit?
Mamacita was one of the original people who were on. Alcoholocaust was on.
That's right. Yeah, Al the drunk cat.
Yep.
He was on, but it was, we had Mamacita on. Big shout out to Mamacita. She was on for a little bit, and then she was doing her own show too, and then really couldn't do both. Her time, she didn't have enough time to really commit to both, but she was rocking with us for a little bit. And then B Money started listening to us, and I think B, you're coming into the chat regularly, hanging out with us in the live chat. And then we had B Money on as a guest, and then I had to slip Cal a couple grand to get B over to get B as a co-host, and B agreed. And Eric and B have actually been the longest co-host to date on BRAP. And and like Eric said, we've had a couple other co-hosts like Al, Alcoholocaust. We've had Sam Tolbert for a little bit.
Mr. Negative.
Mr. Negative, man.
Mr. Negative. Yeah, I was going to say Mr. Negative. Yeah, John. Yeah, big shout out to those guys. I mean, those guys were really, instrumental in kind of helping us, grow our viewership and drive the growth of the channel. And, John was instrumental too, in early on in helping us get some of the industry guests that we had on, like David Jaffe, Ryan McCaffrey from IGN.
Yeah, that was a great episode, dude. Really, really well done.
Which one? The
Ryan McCaffrey. Yeah, that was.
Yes.
I mean, your work is really good. I mean, like I said, I like David Jaffe. He's as honest, and there's nothing coy about him. You know what I'm saying? I like his opinion on the industry. I'm a little shocked when I was here listening the other day, I actually listened to the show twice because I'm doing a lot of stuff. So I felt like I missed something, and for someone, it shocks me when you guys hear an industry person of his stature, because he's been doing this for a long time, that he doesn't own an Xbox, or he doesn't play this, or he won't play that. I was really taken aback by that.
Yeah, I think we were too. I mean, when he said, "Hey, I haven't played the new God of War,"
like, I'm blown away by that. Yes,
what?
I was blown away.
Yeah, I was too. And the guy doesn't pull any punches, man. he definitely is very raw. That's the one thing that I got to say that I appreciate about him. And when we first approached him, this is actually the second time he's been on Brap, but when we first approached him 2 years ago, and he didn't know us. I mean, we're the small podcast, and he didn't know who we are. And this guy's the co-creator of God of War, Twisted Metal, and he was currently working on Drawn to Death. And it was like, he was like, "Yeah, I'll come on." And we were like, I was like, "What?" I just I never thought my wildest dreams that I'd have Davey Jaffe on. I mean, I've known who he was for so many years because of the God of War franchise and Twisted Metal. I just never ever thought when I started doing this that I have him on, or some of the other industry guests that we've had on. So yeah, but and then as we as you do this, you kind of sometimes rotate through co-hosts, and you've probably seen this with other podcasts, because some of these folks have other obligations, or are doing their own show. So sometimes it gets hard to keep a cohesive group together. And so John,
how long have you had everyone that's on the crew right now? How long you guys been working together on a steady basis?
Oh man, that's a great question. Probably, oh man, maybe since the summertime. I've had such a blast with these guys. It's gone by so fast. I would say probably since this summer. Forte's probably the more recent addition. Coming on board, I think this past fall.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think Slow-Mo, I think you came on in the summertime, right?
Yeah, it was around like May or June, something like that.
Yeah.
So. Yeah.
And so, we were like, we were talking about adding, additional co-hosts after, Sam and Eric couldn't podcast, or not Eric, Negative. And, we're looking for other co-hosts. And I think I met Slow-Mo through Luca, I think.
Yes.
Yeah. The Scumcast, yeah,
Scumcast. And I was like, and Slow-Mo and I live in the DMV. For those who know what they call the Washington D.C. metro area, and we just hit it off, man. And I loved his enthusiasm for gaming, and the fact that he's one of the few other people that knows what go-go music is. And so,
yeah, I don't know what that is. What is that?
Yeah, I think we were talking about it on a podcast one time, and someone was like, "What are you guys talking about?" Oh,
like 70s go-go. What?
Yeah.
I think it was King David who said
that.
It was like, what is this?
Like, what are you talking about? So it's just like when Slow-Mo first came on, it was like a natural fit, and we invited him on this past summer, and he's been a guest. And then Forte I met through Slow-Mo, and I think I probably had done a Scumcast or two with Forte as well. And he came on and extended the invitation. It was just natural. When he came on the first time as a guest, he just clicked with the whole crew, and that's how we got to where we are today as Brap. So it's been a fun journey, man. I've had a blast doing this.
Well, listen, it's a great show, and I really hope people get a chance to take the time to listen, because you do put a good product out there. There's very rare where you can come across a whole crew and you're interested to hear everyone on this. That's when I'm listening to you guys. Of course, you're listening. You want to hear the guest. I mean, you have a guy like David Jaffe. You're like, holy shit, they got Jaffe. This is great. I want to hear what he has to say. But for me as a listener, as a fan of you guys, I was interested to hear everyone's opinion on things, and and the next guy, B Money, I want to get to you, because I know that you have a really close knit connection to Tick, which is the inner circle. And a lot of people who may be listening may not know exactly what that is. I know what it is. Because I actually wound up getting the application. I thought about trying to to be a part of it. And then I was like, you know what? Let me get my house in order before I stretch myself too thin. But tell the listeners exactly what that is, because you just signed Four Guys with Quarters, which is run by, of course, the world famous clowns of that podcast, as well as Crossfire on Friday nights. The Italian clowns. How does one sign up, and where did that whole Tick network come from?
Well, it all started back in probably 2013, late 2013. As the consoles came out, we were just kind of a group of guys who would always get on Twitter and talk about gaming and things that were happening in the industry. And Cal kind of hit us up, hit a few of the guys up, the original. So it was myself, Cal, and Mike United from Twitter, and wanted to start a podcast. And we kind of threw back the idea for a while, and finally in 2014 we decided to go ahead and do it. And it kind of spawned from there. So we did the podcast for a while. We were very small, didn't really have too many followers and things like that. And by the grace of God, Mike had actually reached out to Phil Spencer, and he was gracious enough to come on our show. So,
oh man, that's incredible, dude.
For us to be so brand new to the podcasting game and not really have that many followers, and to find out that he was actually listening to our show was pretty amazing. And once he agreed to come on, it kind of boomed from there. And we had just about every Microsoft executive on the show, after Phil, whether it be Aaron Greenberg or Mike Ibarra and Ken Lobb and Rob Ferguson. So we've had just about every big name guy at Microsoft on the show. And then that, from there, that just kind of spawned, kind of getting different industry guests and things like that. So, as the podcast went on and we were able to kind of build a brand and build a following, we were able to kind of go to E3 a couple of times. And then from there, that actually got us interested in doing the whole network and creating the website. So once we created the website and got the writers in there and kind of really built the following from that, we decided to go with the network and kind of expand and kind of do more of a community outreach and try to build brands among the community. So we added Anchor's show, which was our Monday evening show, which was the Multiverse podcast, and then Fame Entertainment, who's out of Pac South right now doing a hell of a job. So shout out to Fame. But we added the Double XP show, which was a PlayStation versus Xbox show, more of a debate show. And then we've ended off the week with the Tick podcast. So we've continued to grow since then, and we've added different community members to the show. NOG is actually part of the community, as well as Four Guys with Quarters, like you mentioned. And it's continuing to grow. Every week it feels like we're adding someone else to the team, and it's a great feeling to kind of help build a community. Not just for Xbox, but for all gamers. What I mean, we kind of reach out to every community. So we just continue to keep rolling. Excited for this year because we're taking a really big step and for Tick Podcast and the Tick brand. We're developing the LLC this year, so we will be certified going into 2019. And
nice.
I'm really looking forward to what that brings and how we really expand the brand. So that's pretty much Tick in a nutshell. And if you're interested in joining the community or being part of the extended family, you can always just hit up the Tick Games Network Twitter handle, or you can hit the Tick Podcast Twitter handle. Cal usually runs that Twitter handle, and just reach out to him, hit the DM, and it kind of goes from there. We decide on what's going to be the best fit for the brand, and then just kind of keep it moving. So if you're interested, definitely don't hesitate, reach out, and we'll take it from there.
Yeah, I mean that's really interesting. Now this what you're talking about is first of all, tick is a big thing. I've heard about it. I've gone to the website. I've read many of the articles. Really, a lot of great stuff. And it's very interesting. Now, is there like are like requirements behind becoming a part of something like this? Because you're not just going to walk through the door and you're going to get crowned. You have to be passionate. I would imagine you have to be one of a community member that works well with others would be another good attribute to add to this. Does it matter the size of the person's show? I mean, because obviously we all start somewhere. We all start small. I mean, that's just the way it works.
It doesn't really matter as far as the size of the show or what your following is, because I feel we feel like over time that's going to build,
right?
So there's no requirement there. As long as you have the passion and you show that you have some talent, it just can't be a mundane show and you think you're going to get added to the network. But you definitely have to have quality content, and then just have that passion for it, and that's probably the major requirement.
Well, I mean, listen, I mean that's obviously I think it's common sense. If you don't really care about the work that you're going to put in, then why even bother? I mean, why even do a show? And we talked about that, prior to going live. Like, a lot of people, always wanted to know like how I prepare for a show. Like, you guys were very, very, very nice enough to say that you were a fan of the work, that you see the work that's put in. That's fantastic to hear, because I don't really think of it as work. I really enjoy friending this community. I really am passionate about gaming. I've been gaming for over 40 years. I think that's everyone that follows me knows that. The work that goes in is out of a respect for the people that are going to take the time to listen. And that's the one thing I get from your channel. When I don't think I've ever listened to a show that I was like, wow, that sounded half-assed, or they didn't really feel like, because, there are some shows out there, I'm not going to name them because I don't listen to them. But, when you show up to their show, it's kind of a cluster F. Right. Yeah. And it seems as if, it's all over the place, or there's no order to it, or they don't want to be there. And if you are a content creator and that's how you're running your show, I hear you, but you're never going to grow because you have to care. And that's the thing I really like about you guys, is that you guys, when Eric J takes the mic, or Forte or Slow-Mo takes the mic, you hear the gamer in them through the airwaves, and you can't fake that people will know a fraud,
Yeah, absolutely.
So I mean, listen, this was listen again. Everyone on this show is a passionate gamer. I've had most everybody on the show. If I haven't had them on yet, they're going to be on eventually. Like I said, doing this today was a big get for me personally. I'm really proud that you guys took the time to be here. It's like I said, it's really, really interesting stuff about how BRAP started and the Tick Network. But you know what? Let's move into the topics, because obviously, people are here to hear about you, and that's the most important part. But we're here to talk about gaming. And the first topic, and I think we're going to be on this for a while because there's a lot of questions, and I kind of really want to get your take on it. Full cross-platform play is now live in Rocket League. That means the PlayStation 4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC players can all play together. Now, this is a huge deal, in my opinion, and it's industry changing. I think it's gonna usher in other developers to want to get involved with this. And really, we have to applaud, stand up, throw the hat up in the air, applaud Psyonix for getting this done, because they're a small studio. And remember, they went public about how it's a switch, a switch of the button, and it's pretty incredible that a small developer was able to pull this off, to get all the companies. And when I say all the companies, we know that Microsoft, we know that the PC, and we know that Nintendo were on board, and it was the a-holes at Sony that were kind of dragging their heels in the sand. I mean, we got to call it like it is. Okay, so I want to read the thank you from the company, from Psyonix. And this is what they had to say. With special thanks to all of our friends and colleagues at PlayStation, remember how they put them out first, we are thrilled to announce that starting right now, Rocket League has entered the PlayStation Crossplay Beta program. Players on PS4, Nintendo Switch, Xbox One, and Steam can now randomly matchmake with our, against each other online, i.e., casual, competitive, and extra modes. Here's another direct statement from the company. Today's announcement is an important one for us here at Psyonix, because we know how much our community has wanted full cross-platform support for quite some time. It's because of you, our fans, and our generous partners on all systems and services that have made this possible in the first place. On behalf of the entire team, thank you for your passion, persistence, and support as we continue to do our best to make Rocket League the best experience we can. We'll see you out on the field. Now, Enrique, I want to go to you on this first. Let me tell you something. Rocket League is a small game, but this is a big step for mankind, especially in gaming. What are your takeaways from this happening finally?
Well, one, I mean, this is obviously very pro gamer, and anything pro gamer I am for. It's just, I hope this is a trend that we start seeing with other multiplayer games. We talked about cross-play, cross-progression. I know we've talked about this with regards to Destiny on Brat before. And, I'm really happy that Sony – it's funny you mentioned the a-holes at Sony. I'm glad Sony got on board too, because Sony's mantra for such a long time was for the gamers. Yes. And I was like, okay, well, if you're for the gamers, then you should really be for the gamers and allow crossplay, not this excuse of, well, our platform is the best place to experience it. No, give gamers the option to play with other people, and it's a win for the developers. I mean, more people interacting with each other, maybe means more traffic, more games being played, whatever platform it is, or whatever game we're talking about. And look, I mean, I'm sure there's times where we have friends that we probably would love to play with that we can't because they only own one platform, and this removes that barrier. I really hope now, this more than anything, that this leads to cross progression. Like we've talked in the past about, Destiny cross progression. I think everyone on this panel would agree. Imagine being able to take your character from, let's say you started Destiny on the Xbox. Now imagine taking it over to PlayStation or PC. I mean, who wouldn't love that?
Yeah.
And
well, what? Here's the thing. What I don't understand about about these companies, and more so, it's really Sony. You're going to get people to double dip on games, right? Like if you're an Xbox dude and you want to play with your friends, let's say for instance on the PS4, if you could take your character or your information, buy the disc for the PS4 and play it there, and just swap over your stats, you're going to get the company that's the developer is getting the 2 sales as opposed to 1.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, like Destiny would be the perfect example of that. I mean, imagine how many people would go out and buy multiple copies of Destiny if they could carry their player progression. I mean, it's a no-brainer. Yeah. I think it's one of those situations where it's a definite win-win for everyone. And I'm glad that Sony is got on board with this. Obviously they're the industry leader. They don't. It's one of those situations where, unfortunately, from their seat, they probably feel like, oh, we don't have to. Exactly. But I'm glad they did, though, because this is going to be something I think that's going to be even more important next console generation. Even something like, I think Eric and I were talking about this last night about something like God, Eric, why am I drawing a blank here, man? We're talking about backwards compatibility. How even something like that's going to be very important for the next console generation. So I'm excited. Win-win for the gamers, and let's hope some other developers do this.
Absolutely. Slow-mo, I want to get your opinion on this. First of all, this is a major step in the right direction. There's no doubt about it. But what are your takes on it starting with something as small as Rocket League? I happen to love it. I platinumed it. I got 1,000 out of 1,000 on the Xbox, and I bought it for the Switch. I love the game. How important is this in the eyes of bigger companies that a small company like Psyonix could get this done?
It's really important. And now, me personally, I've never played Rocket League. I mean, full honesty, I've seen it. I'm just like, okay, it looks like soccer with cars. I'm a pass. But regardless of that, the size of that developer and the fact that they were able to get this done, it really kind of signals to the other bigger developers with bigger publishers with bigger resources that, hey, look, you can do this. It's not difficult. And me speaking personally, I'm a network engineer, so I know kind of have an idea of how on the back end, how it works, how you can make it work. And it seems that a lot of the technical side of it, they just don't, a lot of these developers don't really value network engineering on that level, because I've looked at some of the job listings. I've looked at maybe a couple of times. Bethesda is in this area, where the area that me and Enrique work. Live. And I thought about, maybe I might want to work in the game industry and see what they had open. And I look at some of the jobs, and they're talking about the kind of work that I do on Cisco routers, Cisco switches, the networking, layer 2, layer 3. But they also want people to know Python. And then once I saw that, I realized what they were doing. What they really are doing is they're programming and coding in like networking templates to be able to have just anybody on the back end be able to pull up a GUI and do similar networking, but it's missing that core understanding of networking that a real network engineer can get you. I think we'll start to see the industry start to find network engineers and network administrators just as important as your programmers, your animators, your game designers. And then we'll see next gen where it's going to start to become a thing where everyone's going to expect that from your game. And if you don't have it in your game, what are you doing? That's going to be
you're definitely going to be the odd man out. I agree with you. Eric J, I want to get your opinion on this for a second. We're closing in on the end of this generation, and this is an important step, because if they can get this figured out and get the bigger developers on board before we start the next generation, this is going to become a commonplace when the new consoles come out, which obviously are going to garner a shit ton of more power. And this should be easy when it's being taken care of over the within the cloud. What are your opinions on that? Do you think this is something that's necessary to technically move into the next generation?
As far as like cross progression and crossplay?
Yes.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And we talked about this on BRAF many times, that you may not see as much of it. Like, you didn't see it like last generation much at all. In certain cases you did. You're seeing it a little bit more now, but we said, going into the next generation, it's going to become much more prevalent. It's going gamers are going to become much more vocal about it, right? So I kind of like go under the impression that it's not where you start, it's kind of where you finish. So earlier in the gen, Sony seemed to be a little bit more opposed to it. You're seeing little steps now where they're kind of opening up. And I think, I take it from a different angle. In a business perspective, you kind of, especially when you're kind of at the top and you have some things that you feel like you want to protect, you go slow. You measure what they say, you measure twice, cut once, and then you go forward with it. So, but I think going forward, you're definitely going to see a lot more of it, because gamers is something that they want. And if you're going to be tone deaf to it, you're going to be out of the game immediately.
Yeah, I agree. I absolutely agree. That's great point.
Yeah.
Well, listen, that again, a fantastic point, and I'm right there with you. I think I don't know who from the industry is listening to this small show, but someone might be, and if you are, it's something that we all want. Gaming Forte, I want to get your opinion on this, dude. Look, with this happening with something as small as Psyonix, soccer cars, as people like to call them. I can see all kinds of possibilities for the industry opening up. When we talk about crossplay, right? We say crossplay, I want crossplay. But it's not the most important thing. We touched on it a second ago, and we didn't get into detail. And I kind of like you to do that. Cross progression, I personally think, is the real get here, because I think it opens the door for more sales for the developer on a particular title, and it makes it easier for a gamer to want to purchase a second copy of a game they already have on their system of choice. Like, I'm buying Anthem on the Xbox One. Like, I already have it pre-ordered. That's where I'm going to play it mostly for the fact that it's going to run better on the Xbox One X. But if I could move my saves over to the PS4, and I knew a bunch of people from the community only played on PS4, and I wanted to get down with them, I might wait for a sale and pick up a second copy, but I won't do it because I can't cross progression my stuff. For you as a gamer, how important is that particular get for next gen?
Oh man, for me, huge, because I'm living through it right now on Destiny. I hit 650 on all 3 characters on Xbox and was like, hey, you know what? Let me go over to PC. I haven't played on my PC account in a while. And I already owned the game, but then when I logged into it, I was like so far behind. Like it was like for the average person that doesn't play a game, like they play one game on one system and they want to go play with other friends on another system. That's a very daunting thing when you see that checklist that is just ever building in front of you. Mm-hmm. And for me, it comes back to the companies and the publishers and developers need to start valuing your time. Like we value our time. Like, time is money. We always understand that. Yes. But if you're going to ask us to go out and spend $60, $70 for your game, and then you want us to go out and buy it again on a separate platform, value our time by giving us the ability to just move our content over to another system with that progression system in place. That is all I think most people would love to have. I think crossplay is a really, really fine thing that they're doing. I always laugh at it. Like when I saw this article, I laughed out loud. I was like, I remember during the summer when Fortnite was going through this thing and the whole community was talking about crossplay. And certain people in the community was like, oh my God, why y'all talking about crossplay? Why y'all talking about crossplay? Crossplay, that's old news. Stop talking about it. It's never going to happen. But guess what? One developer changed the tune of a company and we kept talking about it. Now a smaller developer did it. So now we're starting to see those trickle effects of what we were gamers want, and they're listening to us on a consistent basis. And we're starting to get these in games that we probably thought never would get them. Yep. I can imagine Anthem, the Division, I mean, even Mortal Kombat. I would love to play Mortal Kombat against somebody, or take all my unlocked characters from the Xbox to the PlayStation and redo all that stuff over there against somebody else. But that is going to be the number one thing that most people need to fight for cross save and cross progression, because that's the most important thing that we need as gamers going forward.
Again, who's going to jump in?
I was going to say, the funny thing is, Psyonix was the one that said probably like a little over a year and a half ago that it was ready to go. Like, something that all they had to do was like flip the switch pretty much.
They were the first ones to talk about it.
Right.
I mean, they were the first ones to bring this type of gameplay to us. That outside, people think Minecraft and stuff was the first one. Psyonix and Rocket League was the first game that had cross-platform play between PC and Xbox and PlayStation and PC.
Mm-hmm. But I wanted to piggyback on what Forte was saying, when it comes to the cross progression, because I've been saying from jump, for me personally, I'm okay if you want cross play, you want to play with people, that's great. The big factor for me, like Forte was saying, was cross progression. And for those same reasons that he's listing, like Destiny, because I'm grinding more on Destiny. It would be lovely if I go over to PlayStation and everything's just there. Right. That encourages me to want to go and play more on that side. Like a lot of guys on here can speak to, we have jobs, we have families, everything else, and other games that we're trying to play too. Doing all that grinding on one thing, it's difficult. It would be great for that just to be there.
The one thing that I noticed, and this came out in their weekly update because Bungie, put out their community update this last Thursday, and they were thanking Activision, and they talked about the 50 million copies of the game plus DLC that they sold ever since Destiny's been out. Can you imagine what that number would have been if cross progression was in the game?
It could have doubled, dude, for sure. Yeah.
Because I already bought it on 3 platforms, but there's people out there that's not like me, you know.
Yes.
You know, so just think about like people like Crap. Mooch always tried to get, you know, Crap to come over and play Destiny, but he always says, I'm too far behind. You know, you guys are so far ahead of me. But if you had the ability to just take your characters and go from platform to platform, people would be more inclined to do that.
Yeah. I agree.
You know, it's pretty interesting because you know, Epic has come out and said that they have the tools that they developed to implement crossplay for Fortnite. They're open to freely giving those tools to any other developers that would like to do the same thing. So I like to see that kind of you know, just that kind of it's not really goodness or anything out of the kindness of their heart, but they want to see the industry go a certain way, and they're not going to like sit on a gold mine of tools that they could give to other people to actually bring that kind of vision they had for gaming overall, you know, to actually become a reality out there. And so far, and I've been seeing recently a lot of talk about this. Mark Dara, who's a BioWare producer on Anthem, he answered a tweet about crossplay, and he said that it was something that would not be there at launch. That's all he said. And so from there, you can kind of insinuate that they're looking into it. If you say that it's not going to be there at launch, you should just, if you're not going to do it, you would just say, no, we're not doing it. But to say it's not going to be there at launch means you're looking into it. It may be something that be implemented 6, maybe 12 months from now. Yesterday, I was watching on Twitch the Warframe Death Stream, and they dropped like a big roadmap of everything they're doing in 2019. It's amazing. If you're a Warframe fan, it's going to be a good year for you.
Yeah,
but one thing they said about that is that someone in the chat asked them about crossplay, and they came out and said we're not doing crossplay. And knowing how the game works, I can understand why. Because they actually built a specific build per platform. Like there's certain like stations that are like hubs that you can go to. There's about 3 per platform, but like depending on the platform you're on, the other ones may be destroyed, but the one you're on is still running on your platform, say PC, but on Xbox, that same one is destroyed, if you get my drift. So it'll be a little too much work for them to actually undo those things just for crossplay. But they are talking about implementing cross progression, which really got me excited because I'm thinking about getting a Switch, and I'm like, I would love to be able to play Warframe at home, and then I gotta go somewhere. I can bring my Switch with me. I can also continue the progress that I've done and started on my Xbox on my Switch. That's something that like that I think cross progression more than anything will be something that all these companies are going to start looking into, because it promotes more software sales. Now with cross-platform, with cross-play, if I can play with my friend on PlayStation and have an Xbox, I have no need to buy that copy of the game on PlayStation. I can play without one. But with cross progression, at least I know it makes things a little bit easier for me to decide to put the money down to play that game, knowing my characters, the work I did on my Xbox was not for naught.
Exactly.
Play, do all that and play with my friends with the same exact light level or character level or whatever you want to call it on a different platform. It's just there's really no reason to not do it. Go ahead.
No, I absolutely agree. You're making a good point. I actually kind of want to just bring B Money into the conversation for a second, because Slow-Mo, what you said, I never really considered until you just said it. And we know that these developers are in it to make money. Like at the end of the day, we're on Twitter, all of us, and we're like, yeah, Xbox, yay, PlayStation, yay, Switch, whatever. I get it. Everyone has their favorite system. But these companies, regardless of what any of us say on Twitter and on these podcasts that we do, they are big business. They are in it to make money. And what shocks me, B Money, is the fact that these companies haven't thought outside the box, not so much about the cross play, but the cross progression, because Slow-Mo just made a magnificent point about him willing to drop down his money a second time for game A to play on another system because it has cross progression. He could bring all his stuff over, and the 60 or 70 or 200 hours he already put into game A isn't for nothing. In your opinion, how come they're not thinking it in that way for business?
For the same reason you just brought up. I think it all boils down to money. I think the biggest thing that is stopping cross progression is microtransactions.
Oh, yes.
I think when you boil it down to what cross progression would actually mean for each platform holder and the microtransactions that go into each platform every single day, I think that's probably the biggest thing that is holding it back. Because, you know, one of the things that Sony talked about when they were deciding on doing the crossplay thing was, you know, if someone bought something in Fortnite on their platform, you know what I mean, would it be usable on a different platform? And what that looked like to the gamer at the end of the day. You know what I mean? If you bought something in Fortnite on PlayStation and you want to go play on Xbox or the Switch or wherever other platform you decide to play on, you know, is that exclusive item going to show up for you, you know, on that platform? You know, does that store recognize, you know, that particular item even on that platform because it wasn't built for that platform? So I think a lot of that stuff is going to stop the cross progression. I think it's a fight that gamers will continue to fight, and I think that's something that maybe we get, you know, kind of at the tail end of next generation, similar to how we're receiving crossplay now. Because I think crossplay is going to be the big push, you know, going into next gen. And you'll see more games doing crossplay, but I think cross progression is going to get stuck on the money.
Yeah, you know, that's a great point. And we could probably talk about this for 6 hours.
Killed my hopes and dreams.
Because that actually, you know, it's funny when you put these shows together and you're trying to put out questions that, you know, you want everyone to answer. You know, I don't know what B Money was going to say. And man, dude, you really knocked it out of the park, because I never thought about how important the digital items are to each of these companies, and we don't know if they're even technically capable of moving certain pieces of DLC, because, you know, that brings to mind Destiny, for instance. You know, we know the whole 1 year exclusivity with you know, different weapons and like levels. How would that work? So listen, I'm not a developer, so I have absolutely no idea, but that's a great question, dude.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at Fortnite, I don't believe like on Fortnite you can go to like the PlayStation Store, Xbox Store, and buy like the emotes and stuff. I don't believe. I'm not 100% sure on that.
They're inside the game.
Yeah, so those are all inside the game. But when you look at, let's just say, a game like Tomb Raider or something like that, like some of that DLC stuff can be bought outside of Tomb Raider. Like you don't have to be inside Tomb Raider to buy that stuff. So if you were to buy, you know, something, you know, that's a DLC product for Tomb Raider, and you want to pick it up and play it on a different platform, you know what I mean? Would that item be recognized because you bought it on a different platform? You know what I mean? So I think that's the biggest thing that'll probably hold us up with the cross progression.
The biggest question is, though, do you think people would be upset if they told them, like, hey, we'll give you cross progression, but anything you bought off the store, our store, you wouldn't be able to use on another system for crossplay?
Let's see, I
think that would actually hurt like a lot of games, especially sports games like Madden, 2K, FIFA, you know what I mean? Like at that point, what would be the point? Because a lot of those people who play like the My Player or play like the fantasy stuff with, you know, the My Packs and things like that, like none of that stuff would cross over. So at that point, you would basically be starting over again anyway.
Well, I'm not quite sure that, like, let's say that, for instance, there is a particular skin or something in Fortnite that was exclusive to PlayStation. It's not a like a guarantee that if that person then played with people on Xbox, they wouldn't be able to see that or be able to, or if that person then went on their Xbox and played, that it wouldn't be there to play. I think if you lock it to the platform as far as the purchase, so what, that it's available to be seen or checked out on a different platform. It actually would be a form of marketing for that particular item, and it's purchased on the original platform it came out on. Because if someone sees that skin, they're like, "Oh man, that skin's hot. I want that skin. How do I get that skin? Oh, I gotta play it on PlayStation and buy it off of PlayStation." Then that's like a actual reason for someone to then have a PlayStation if they don't already have one. It's serious, and then go and get that microtransaction. There are ways around this. It's just that these publishers have to start thinking like gamers and stop thinking like businessmen, which is a lot of the time, which is the issue of a lot of stuff. That why we wonder why they do certain decisions. It's because it's all they're thinking about is the money. They aren't gamers, so they don't sit down and actually play games and think from a gaming perspective, like, wow, you know what? I really do want that. How do I get? That's why for so long they kept thinking cross progression. We're never going to do that because we want them. If you want to play with people on a different platform, buy that game on that platform and play it with them. But they never thought about the aspect of who wants to go through the grind all over again, because they're not gamers. They don't think about stuff like that. They didn't realize that not doing that has cost them more sales than it gained them, because more people will be like, you know what? I'm just not going to go through all that. I'm just not going to buy the game. I'm going to stick on my platform. Then the people double dip. So I think it's a slow process. And I think like how B Money said, there's going to be your top executives who are still going to be like, no, we're not doing this. But then I think as they start to see sales flourish, you got Fortnite who's flourishing. We'll see what happens with Rocket League. We'll see what happens with a lot of these other games that are starting to implement it.
It's going to be a small crawl, I think. But I would like to see some of the bigger developers, like, how big for the Division 2, if the CEO of Ubisoft came out and said, boom, cross progression, the internet would come to a halt.
Yeah. Well, how about Bungie's current state? I mean, who better else than Bungie right now to do something like this?
Yes,
absolutely. I mean, look at they're on their own now.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how difficult it is to implement cross progression, but I gotta believe, given how smart these guys are, and the fact that we send people to space and landed people on the moon in the 60s. We could probably do this. I got to believe that they could do cross progression. But I mean, who better else than Bungie? I'm thinking, like, you guys, like, Boom, you said Ubisoft. I'm thinking, like, oh man, Ubi. But what about Bungie? What about just given everything they've gone through, right, with Destiny, and now they're free of the reins of Activision,
right?
I mean, how huge would that be? That would rock the industry.
Well, think about this for a second. You bring up a really, really solid point. We're not going to get too deep into Destiny, right? Because obviously that's another 6.5 hour show, because we could really talk about that. But Enrique, you brought something up and it just made the wheels in this old brain turn. Just imagine that besides making the announcement for Destiny 3, whenever that's going to be, could you imagine on the back end of the announcement trailer, oh, P.S., by the way, cross progression? Dude, are you kidding? Yeah. People are going to be lining up to buy 2 copies of. I mean, that fan base is rabid, and a real big shout out to my brother Neo Mental. He's actually my real brother, not just saying he's my brother. He's actually my brother. He put 4,000 hours into Destiny between, again, 4,000. That's not a BS. That's the real deal, between the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One, because he could not move his stats over and he had to regrind everything. But that's how much he loved the game. And I know many people like that. And it would be really, really interesting to see Bungie do it, because like right now they left Activision. We know how that went down. They're on their own. And what better way to sell everyone your game twice? when you're going to be out there doing everything on yourself. Publishing is expensive. It's risky. You know what I'm saying? Sure, there are millions and millions of Destiny fans. We know how many they sold over the course of the franchise. It's over 50 million, and that's fantastic. But when you don't have the big, the big guy with the big wad of cash, letting you spend all that money for advertising, this, that, and the third, it becomes a risky proposition. So offering cross progression right out of the gate could make people buy that game twice. There's no doubt about it. But you know what? I want to move on to the next topic, because this is another one that I think we're going to be, chewing on the bone, so to speak, for a bit. The evil empire known as EA has once again canceled a Star Wars game called Project Orca, and it's been reportedly axed for a smaller title slated for 2020. Now, here's my question, and I'll get to you guys individually. This is really like this is more like anyone in the chat. How in God's name does this continue to happen, and how much longer will Disney allow this ridiculous mismanagement of the Star Wars franchise? Now, since they have taken over, we've had technically 2 games. Most people say 1 game and a half if you count Battlefront 2. But as of this writing, things concerning EA's Star Wars IP seems to be spinning out of control. And in the last couple of years, the gaming media, as well as the fans of the franchise, have seen cancellations of Star Wars 1313. I'm not sure how many people remember that. That looked dope. Okay, you had the unnamed project that Amy Hennig was working on before she was fired. It was canceled. The assets of that game were moved over to Project Orca, which was run by Jade Raymond, who has now left the company. P.S. by the way, and that is a total of 3 Star Wars games, deep sixth since EA has been running the show, and we know everything that happened with Star Wars Battlefront 2 and that debacle from 2017. Enrique, I got to ask you, dude, following this report of the open world Star Wars game that EA pulled from Visceral and was transitioned over to this so-called, smaller title, if you're running Disney, how long do you stay with EA?
If I'm Disney, not a lot, not that much longer, man. I'm out. This is, it's interesting. It's funny. We were talking to David Jaffe about this, and I forget what he said something to the effect like, well, what do you?
If I want to say it, okay, listen, folks, you cover your ears. He said that EA could suck a bag of D's.
No, he said that was his Activision.
Oh, it was Activision. Okay,
yeah, Activision.
Right,
yeah, okay. He was talking about Activision.
tomato, pretty much.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, tomato. But he was saying like, he goes, like this is, what do you expect with these big companies? He did compare it to dating a prostitute or something.
He did. You said dating a prostitute and ask her to give you head for free.
Yeah, was that what it was? Is that what? No, he didn't say that, did he?
It basically was.
Okay, so. No, it's if I'm Disney, I'm kind of like, wait a minute, guys, like what's going on here? Like, both Battlefront games, and I even said this on BRAP this week, they were just cash grabs. They
really were.
Hey,
yeah.
Let's throw Luke Skywalker in there. Let's throw
Chewbacca,
Han Solo,
Chewbacca, yeah.
And unfortunately, with the whole Annie Hennig thing, a lot of that was really mismanagement on EA's part too. With budgeting and everything. And but the other piece, though, if you guys remember when Jason Schreier broke that article, there was I think he recalled a meeting with EA executives where Amy's Star Wars game was based in the Star Wars universe. It didn't have the characters that we all love and cherish. Han Solo, Chewbacca, all the characters.
It was a new round of characters that she was creating. Yes.
Yeah. And so what they did is they went out and they polled people like, when you think of Star Wars, what do you think? And of course, people like Chewbacca, Luke Skywalker. And because her game didn't have those characters, they were kind of like poo-pooing the whole project. Like, well, wait a minute. Like, and it's like what David was saying, more or less, is like, what do you expect? These companies aren't, they don't necessarily maybe see the artistic value. They're about, making money at the end of the day. So you're not going to get the kind of Star Wars game that you want, because that's not what EA or Activision do as publishers. They're looking at those big, yearly releases that are going to drive, huge amounts of money and are going to appeal to a broader audience. So, yeah, if I'm Disney, I'm wondering, like, what's going on here? Like, why? And look, they could still make a Battlefront game, but you can still sprinkle in, because when LucasArts when they were making and publishing these Star Wars games, they were releasing a multitude of different types of Star Wars games.
Yeah, there was shooters, open world, flight sims, you name it.
Yeah, the Force Unleashed is one of my favorite ones.
Yep, right there with you.
Yeah, with Darth Vader and his apprentice, and so it's a shame. As a Star Wars fan, it's a shame. It's a shame. I'm really disappointed that EA has really, in my opinion, mishandled the franchise. They've treated it as they have objectified it, if you will.
Yes,
and have turned it into this cash grabbing machine. And I get it. They're there to make money. I'm not faulting them. They have every right to do that. But as a fan, I'm disappointed. And if I'm Disney personally, I'm like, guys, what's going on? Because I don't even think those games have performed well, if I'm not mistaken. Like, I don't think the last Star Wars Battlefront did that well.
No, I'm surprised it didn't.
Yeah. David, I just went back and looked. I wanted to make sure we spoke truthfully about the great David Jaffe and what he said. He said that EA is one of those companies that doesn't care about artistic vision. They don't care about the artist. They only care about the money. Why, if you are a company that has a vision and your vision is to put out this great thing, you don't want to go with one of these publishers like Activision or EA, because they don't care about the vision of your game. They only care about how much money that game is going to make.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so that's telling. It's Boom, it's disappointing, man, because we talked about our ages earlier, and Boom, you and I, Star Wars is our life. We grew up with it.
It certainly is.
I think it really is. It's never left us. It hasn't. Throughout the 42 years I've been on planet Earth, and I said this on Wednesday, Star Wars has been with me the entire time.
Yes, sir.
And it's just such a disappointment, man.
Well, you know what? It's funny because you talk about our age. When I was a New York City police officer and I had my own desk when I did community affairs, right above my desk, above my head, was a floating lightsaber. So when people would come in, they'd be like, hi, Officer Boom, lightsaber? Yes, it worked. Boom, turn it on. And everyone is amazed. I loved it. That's how much I love Star Wars. It even found its way into the police department. Slow-mo, I want to get your opinion on this for a second. The original announcement for this story broke from Jason Schreier of Kotaku fame, or not fame, whether you like the guy or you don't. Mm-hmm. And since then, it's been updated. His original announcement to include more details surrounding the sudden cancellation. As a consumer, of course, we're all disappointed, but I kind of want to put you in the shoes of someone who is maybe not on the board, but someone who is looking to, possibly put some money into the backing of a game like this. And the fact that EA, as big as they are, continues to cancel one Star Wars game after another. I mean, do you, as that person that's going to be investing, have concerns to the management or mismanagement, if you will, of EA at this time?
If I'm Disney, I have a lot of concerns, and most notably because it's Disney, they're probably just as big on making money as EA is. But at the same time, it's like, could I have made more money if I would have gone with I picked my developer and publisher for certain IPs and not, to do certain games for the entire Star Wars IP and not just stick it with EA. If I'm them, I would look at Fallen Order with, and I would say this is kind of like the test here. If Fallen Order doesn't succeed on a level of quality as well as selling well, then I'm going to, it's Disney. They got all the money in the world. They can pull EA. How much is it going to pay? How much is it going to cost for me to get rid of you?
Yeah.
What you name the number, I'm gonna write it down. We're gonna end this right here. Like, that's the kind of talk that you're gonna need to have if Fallen Order doesn't make it. Because DICE and Respawn are good developers. Like, make no mistakes. EA has really good developers under their umbrella.
They do. Yes.
They don't do a lot of diverse things, but they had Visceral and they shut them down. Visceral was great. Visceral did that Dead Space series. They got BioWare, who's not quite the same BioWare they were in the past, but the pedigree is still there.
Right.
DICE is good. Respawn is great.
Yes, they are.
Respawn making Titanfall 2 had like probably the best first-person shooter campaign that I've played this gen.
Yep,
like,
I agree.
When you have them making a Star Wars game, if it does not succeed, I'm not blaming Respawn. I'm blaming you, EA.
Yep.
So at that point, it's like, especially, let me go back to them wanting to make a smaller Star Wars game with the intention of it being available for launch with the next-gen consoles next year. Like, we talked about that. And I was just like, well, immediately hearing that, I was like, this game's going to be trash. I don't want it. Because if you're going to make a game in less than 2 years,
it's going to be another Battlefront.
It's going to be another Battlefront.
Yeah.
It's going to be another Dragon Age 2, which I liked, but Dragon Age 2 was done in 1 year.
Yeah, so that was a complete. They removed themselves from the series, what we knew and love, and they threw that together to make money. That was not one of my favorites at all.
Yeah, and see, and that's what I expect from this Star Wars game, that they're just cobbling together real quick so they can get a quick cash grab.
Battle Royale mode, like you said.
Say what?
You said they're going to include a battle royale mode on Wednesday.
Yeah, I think if this happens, just know that Slow-Mo Backslap said it in 2019. It's going to be a battle royale.
No, God,
you're going to have regular stormtroopers and rebels. That's the default shit, right? That's the default game mode. And then there'll be microtransactions.
Oh, God,
like the famous Star Wars characters, your Lukes, your Darth Mauls. That's all going to be microtransactions.
Well, there'll be skins that are $20 a piece.
Yeah. Or you can do the battle pass route and grind it out after 5,000 matches to finally get that Princess Leia. Or you $25 for it.
See it now, like the bounty hunter pack.
Exactly. Guaranteed that's all they can make in 2 years.
Yeah.
So that's what we got.
That's the first thing I thought, Slow-Mo. I was like, oh, here they go. There's no way you can put together a decent, great Star Wars game, to try to coincide with like the new console and all that. There's nothing. You're not putting together anything that's going to be worthwhile.
No, it'll make something pretty.
PvP. They can't make a PvE anything in 2 years. That's going to be.
It's going to be a disaster.
Yeah, it's gonna be a Star Wars car battle game or something.
No, they're gonna call it Star Wars MTX. That's gonna be the name of the game.
Oh God.
Please,
I hope anyone from EA is not listening to this, because it makes money sense, but please, it makes terrible sense for gamers.
That's a good idea, guys.
They're like, we gotta hire the Slow-Mo guy. The Princess Leia, genius.
Listen, I'm gonna give you the heads up right now. Next week, Slow-Mo is handing in his letter of resignation to the Brat Podcast, and he's moving to LA to now work with EA. Sorry about that, guys.
If that happens, you know exactly what happened. They opened the pot of gold, and that's it.
Sold his soul to EA for
almost gonna say, what microtransactions? They're not bad.
No, they work. Listen, Eric J, I want to get your opinion on this. The Star Wars brand has taken a hit on the chin in the last 5 years with the film franchises not being as well received as especially with fans would have liked. And now EA is passing off the franchise like a hot potato. With cancellation after cancellation. And this has to be pissing off Disney. There's no doubt about it. And they, of course, sure, the Titanfall developer known as Respawn Entertainment is currently hard at work on their Star Wars game. And it's supposed to be coming out in 2019. And we've heard nothing. We've seen nothing. So I have my concerns. How much more do you think that the Star Wars fans are willing to sit back and take when they keep hearing about because Star Wars fans get excited when you talk about the franchise. Like I hear about it and I'm like, holy shit, this is going to be great. We're going to get a ton of Star Wars games, and we haven't been getting anything. So now when you talk about it, it's almost like the boy who cried wolf, right? Oh yeah, the wolf's running down the block and he says it 3-4 times, and you're like, you know what, forget this, and you just keep running and you get eaten, right? So you didn't believe him because he said so many lies, and that's the same thing with these cancellations. What do you think what toll do you think this is going to take on the Star Wars fans?
I think it's already taken a toll. I mean, I'm a Star Wars fan, and I'm already every time that they go this route, I'm calling like BS.
Okay.
You know, and I already said to the guys the other day, I said I would not be surprised if whatever game Respawn is working on gets canceled as well.
That would be devastating. That would be man. I hope not.
Because I mean, if you think back to E3 when they kind of like,
that was
like
a bad interview, dude.
Right.
Yeah.
It didn't seem like anybody was prepared to kind of talk about it. It was like, okay, you're gonna, yeah. So they didn't have much to say about it, but I would not be surprised at all if they just said, you know what, we're gonna axe it. But as far as Disney, the other thing we talked about is that I'd be interested to know what the contract is.
I actually have that information. It was brought up last night on Crossfire, and apparently the signed 10-year contract ends in 2023.
Whoa.
So we have 4 years left of the evil empire controlling the Star Wars IP.
But there's got to be some performance clause in that.
That's what I was going to say.
Got to be something, yeah.
Are they required to produce so many games? Was there because if that's not the case, I would have to think that right now Disney is talking to lawyers and trying to figure out, you know, how do we get out of this?
Yeah, I agree.
I'm sure they could,
because
they can buy them out, Eric, right?
I would think so, because if you think about what happened with the microtransactions in Battlefront and how they walked that back, like Disney got involved.
Yeah, they did.
Like you're messing with our fan base and our IP, they got involved, right? And I think the fact that they're kind of being quiet right now, they may be trying to get ducks in a row, because they have to be looking at this like, what is going on? You know, like, what are we doing with this? And then you've also kind of heard them talk about some of the movie franchise part. They're walking some things back. They've canceled some solo projects, no pun intended, but they canceled, you know, a few of the solo movies that are coming out. So they're very protective of the IP and not kind of like, as far as it being destroyed or being run through the mud or whatever the case may be. So I definitely think they got to be looking at it.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I don't know. I mean, you know, Gaming Forte, I want to get your opinion on this. Eric brought up a good point about the lawyers possibly scrambling to figure out what they can do. You know, we don't know what the status of Respawn Star Wars game. I would imagine that game has to be one of those titles that are just locked into, we have to get it done, because at this point, I don't know if they can take a fourth cancellation. Like, I mean, you know, it would be absolutely outrageous. In your opinion, and you're sitting on the, you know, you're one of the lawyers, you know, what do you think? Because if you look at the deal that Bungie had with Activision, where they had no choice but to get Destiny 1 out, the expansion Taken King, Destiny 2, and the expansion The Forsaken, or they were going to lose the franchise to Activision. Now, obviously, EA is not going to have anything like that because Disney owns it, and Disney's lawyers, they're the most highest paid, I would imagine, in the entire universe. And everything is with every T crossed and every I dotted. But if, in your opinion, as a person that does gaming podcasts, that is involved in the industry, with your own opinion, what are your takeaways? I mean, do you see the IP actually being removed and being announced that they're removing it from EA?
So, man, it hurts my heart every time I think about Star Wars, because that's by far my favorite franchise.
Most
ever.
People, believe it or not.
I still have the original VHS set that came in the box set with the Vader and the medallion and everything.
Yes,
I have that in my closet, man. Okay, so this is what I think. No one really knows exactly. I did know about the 10-year plan in 2013 being the cutoff date. I think this year will tell a lot because this will be the first year if we don't get that Respawn Star Wars game, will be the first time we don't get a Star Wars game during the year of movie releases during this contract. Because for the last two, we got both Battlefront games during the year that Episode 7 and Episode 8 released.
Correct.
So I don't know if they have like a contractual thing that they have to release a Star Wars movie during the year a movie comes out. That's something that we don't have information on. But if it doesn't happen this year, that will tell a lot going into next year if something like this is going to get pulled from them. I just don't know, as like when it came to like gaming and as Star Wars as a fan in general, when did we get to the point where multiplayer games became the focus for Star Wars? Because that's basically all we got from EA is multiplayer focused Star Wars games. Yeah. Star Wars, like people always ask me, what's the difference between Star Wars and Star Trek? Star Trek is about the battles, about the worlds and stuff like that. Star Wars is about the people. It's about the opera.
The story.
Story, and that's what Star Wars has been missing forever. It's like, is it nice to get these Battlefront games and stuff from DICE, because I think DICE is the best team that can make a Battlefront game because they make Battlefield. Yeah, but 1313, something that, you know, that's something that we're missing. We're missing all of these story-driven games that make Star Wars, and EA not EA, but Disney has to be looking at this like, hey, if this doesn't happen, if this Respawn version of the game doesn't release on time, or if it even is going to come out this year, they're going to have to make drastic moves. I mean, they're so protective of the IP. I don't know if any of you guys know, but it's a guy, Star Wars Theory. He did a video where he made a Vader fan film, and they put so many stipulations on him to make that out of his own money, and he couldn't make any money off of it. You know, I wonder why aren't they doing that to EA when it comes to their type of the way that they're portraying the franchise. This guy put $80,000 of his own money into it and can't make a dime off of it. And I will tell you, it is by far the best thing I've seen from Star Wars in the last 4 years.
Wow.
It literally encapsulates what Vader is as a person. All right.
It was on YouTube for a while. I think it got pulled.
It's still there. If you don't know. There? It's still, it's still there. It's almost at 10 million views.
What is it?
It's called. I'll put it in the chat. It's Star Wars Theory. It's the Vader fan film. He made it out of his own money. He basically loves Star Wars like everybody else. And the biggest thing is he wanted to depict what he thought, his thoughts of what Vader should be versus what they did going forward. It is by far the best version of a Star Wars. It's only 15 minutes long, but dude, it's the best 15 minutes I've seen of Star Wars in the last 2 years.
That's really saying something. I mean, if you throw that link, if you don't mind, into the chat, because
I am going to throw it in there.
I'm actually going to check that out after the show. I'm a huge Star Wars fan, man. The adventures I used to have with the stiff arm Star Wars with the lightsaber in the arm. You know, Regan, you're an old man like me. You know what I'm talking about.
Hey,
you know
I'm there too, Boom.
Yeah, with the legs that just went up, they didn't even bend like G.I. Joe. You know, they just went up, and they had to, you had to slide them into like the land speeder, and they were like, okay, I have to bend that foot to get in there.
And then they fall out if you turn it over.
No, Boom, you lost a lightsaber, and then you use a toothpick.
Yes, and you know what, my mom was awesome. She, when I lost a lightsaber, you know what she did? She colored it. She took a marker and she colored. She goes, look, it works. And I'm like, it sucked, but thanks, Mom. I appreciate the effort because that was a big deal. But you know what, B Money, the thing is this. With codename Project Orca being canceled, it had a very promising premise that allowed players to do something in a Star Wars game that we have yet to do with EA holding the license. And that, of course, is explore open world planets and as a bounty hunter, no less. How big of a miss do you think this is for the Star Wars franchise to have this exploratory ideology just completely the rug pulled right out?
It's a big miss. But, even before, when you look at the game that Amy Hennig was building, Amy Hennig is storied in the industry. Yes,
she is.
Soul Reaver, built the Uncharted franchise. You know what I mean? If we could have got a game from her, narrative driven, that would have been right up Star Wars fans' alley. And then when you look at Orca, that comes from Jay Raymond. What is she known for? Assassin's Creed. That's like the biggest franchise, single player franchise that's out right now. So if we could have got a game from her perspective in the Star Wars universe, open world, give it that Assassin's Creed flair, you know what I mean? That could have been super huge for Star Wars fans. 2 huge misses, which I don't understand what EA is doing. You know what I mean? Of course, it all boils down to the money, as we can see. And I'm super afraid for what Fallen Order is going to be. You know what I mean? This is supposed to be an action adventure game, coming from Respawn, which I'm a huge fan of. But even when they announced that last year, it looked like Vince kind of was, kind of threw to the wolves. It was almost like it was a conversation that they were having before, but a game that they weren't even really working on. This is, I feel like this is more like a Dragon Age 2 thing, where
oh god, I hope not.
They had to get out of woods, so they just announced something, and they started working on it as soon as they got back from E3. Because it is super weird for a Star Wars game to be coming out this year. It's supposed to be this holiday season. We literally know nothing about it.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot of questions. We didn't even get a trailer. We don't have no idea what this thing looks like.
We don't even have a symbol. We don't have anything. We don't know what type of characters we're going to be playing with, as far as like what they're going to look like. Anything. We don't know what we're getting into with this game, and it's supposed to come out this fall. So it's going to be up to EA to show us and impress us at E3 this year.
It has to be their biggest game in E3.
It has to be, because this year they don't have a Battlefield game coming out, and I don't believe the only other game they have that's supposed to be super big is Anthem, and that game will already be out prior to E3. So what else are they going to be talking about at E3 besides their sports franchise that they talk about every year?
Mobile games.
Oh god, Command and Conquer.
Oh god,
that will be scary. That will be scary.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. It's you know what, with EA, in the last couple of E3s, it has been cringeworthy, to be honest. And I don't know what is happening. But I as big as the Bungie Activision split was, if EA continues down this path of failure and madness, I can see that another big 2019 announcement being that Disney stepped in and completely pulled the license away from them. I know this is a stretch. I know this is a complete stretch, but because Microsoft has the checkbook open, I would not be surprised in the least if they stepped in and said, okay, yeah, we're gonna start now. We're gonna run the Star Wars franchise, and it's gonna be a Microsoft exclusive, because that's what I would do. But again, completely speculation. Throwing the sand in the wind and see where it lands. I don't know, but you know what? I want to move on to the next topic, and this is another one. I put these topics together, and I knew they were going to be meaty, and I knew that they were going to require a significant amount of time to get the proper answers, because we're not here to rush. We are going to do a 2-hour show, but at the same time, we want to make sure that people move on and do what they have to do on their Saturdays. But let's move on to the next topic, and this is a question I have for the chat as well as the panel, which I will of course call you out individually. Is messaging and marketing Microsoft's Achilles heel, and can they course correct before the next generation starts? Now, this topic I've been sitting on for a while, and I thought it'd be nowhere better than to do it on this show, because I have been very hard on Microsoft in this generation when it came to marketing. And I think if you're an Xbox fan, you have to agree with me that it has been nothing short of a disaster. I'm sorry to say, there's a reason why Microsoft lost 2-1 in this generation to the PlayStation, because the PlayStation ninjas at Sony are relentless and they're vicious. And we've seen what they've done with marketing, and it's done well for them. And we've seen the marketing in this generation. Now, I have to be, I've been very hard, and I've said it about when it comes to the actual messaging and the marketing throughout this generation. And for me anyway, it's always been very frustrating and confusing how outstanding everything was in the 360 days. I mean, my God, they had so many second-party deals. There were 360 ads on everywhere. Ball games, buses, trains, planes, automobiles, commercials out the yin yang. You couldn't turn a left or a right outside and not see a commercial for an Xbox 360 game that was exclusive to that console. And they moved away from that. And listen, the generation is the way it is. It's over, and we know what happened. But Enrique, I want to get your opinion on this. Am I wrong by saying the messaging and marketing has been off since the 360 days in this generation?
No. we talk about this a lot on Brap, as a matter of fact, because look at Crackdown 3. Crackdown 3 is coming out next month, and it's like, outside of Terry Crews shaking his boobs, doing what Eric likes to call Old Spice commercials for Crackdown. I mean, what else? I mean, what are they doing with Crackdown 3? I mean, not even just Crackdown 3. Let's talk about services like Game Pass. I mean, obviously, we hear about it because we're gamers. We're tied into social media. We interact on the Twitters with. We all follow Major Nelson and Mikey Barra, and they're always talking about Game Pass. But even something like Game Pass, that shit should be plastered on television ads all the time, because it's such a huge value add. It's something that your competition doesn't have. And if you're looking to get into gaming and you don't want to spend a whole lot of money on video games, Game Pass is a great option for someone who's looking to get into gaming. And I feel like even something like that, they don't even talk about enough. And what about the marketing for Sea of Thieves? I think they shot somebody out of a cannon. I mean, I understand you could do that in the game, but I think they did it at the home stadium for the Buccaneers. I mean, how many people are actually going to watch that?
Yeah, I know.
Are the Buccaneers on TV? Are they on national TV?
They weren't on TV this year.
Yeah,
no, they're not.
Exactly. And I can't wait to hear B's take on this, because B's been very passionate about Microsoft's marketing problem. But yeah, it's been an Achilles heel for them. Their messaging has gotten better.
Yes, it has. Yes,
it has.
Give credit where credit is due.
Yeah,
I agree.
Their message, but the marketing is still suspect. And look, I like Aaron Greenberg's a nice guy. I don't know what's going on. I mean, look, the whole thing with Sea of Thieves and now with State of Decay 2, it's a head scratch for me. When Sony's releasing exclusive content, that shit is plastered all over the TV.
It's everywhere.
It's everywhere. I mean, they had God of War on the floor.
Yes,
the
talk
Golden
about
State
it.
Warriors. I mean, come on, man. That's like the hottest team in the NBA right now.
Yeah.
And I mean, they're the modern day dynasty of the NBA. And Sony, and it's funny, like, I remember people saying, "Oh, what's the big deal about that?" Really? That is a big deal, because the Golden State Warriors command a national stage.
Correct. Well, they're on Channel 2 every time they're playing. Right? Even if you're in a local state, state, they're still playing. And how many people talked about the God of War on the court the next day? It was everywhere. Everyone on Twitter, people making videos about it, and the mainstream gaming media was all over this. Normally, no one would talk nothing about it, and everyone, and I mean everyone, was talking. And what did that do for God of War? We know what it did for God of War.
Yeah. But Boom, one more thing too. Crackdown 3, it's coming out February, right?
Yep. February 15th, I think.
Yeah. How many Twitter ads have we seen? How many ads? I haven't seen any ads. I just got my recent Game Informer. I don't think there was an ad for it in that. I haven't seen any kind of deal with 7-Eleven or anything. I mean, shit, have a deal with Old Spice. Terry Crews is, been the key, like, I think, marketing figure for Crackdown 3. Why not do like an Old Spice tie-in? I mean, it just makes sense to me, I guess, to have Terry Crews do that with Old Spice, because he's, part of the Old Spice thing too. And I mean, I don't know, man. It's mind boggling. And the other thing with Crackdown 3 is there was an article, I think by Games Radar, that talked about the multiplayer component of Crackdown 3, and they really seemed to really enjoy it. I think they said it was pretty cool or radical or something to that effect.
Yeah, they had a really strong statement about it. I read that article. I talked about it on the Xbox Factor podcast, and it was they walked away extremely impressed.
If I'm Microsoft, I'm taking excerpts from that ad out. I'm putting an ad on TV saying Crackdown 3 coming out, and I'm putting those quotes on TV with the actual gameplay footage.
Well, you can two-prong this. You can do your Game Pass commercial. Oh, P.S. by the way, Crackdown 3 with all of these great excerpts in there is coming, and it's for free. Once it's included in your $10 a month.
And isn't it $1 for the first?
The $1 for the first, for the first month. Yep.
As Lord King would say, $1.
$1. Yeah, Lord King's got a lot of classics. But listen, dude, you're 100% right. Slow mo. Listen, I got to get your opinion on this. See, Aaron Greenberg currently holds the title of General Manager of Game Marketing and is the face of the company when it comes to everything Xbox. And I think the guy he's a great human being. He stands up for charities. He's a lovable guy. He talks with everyone, and that's all great. But I have to ask you a question. How long does he hold the position of marketing general manager, and they keep coming up with L's?
This is gonna be really bad. I feel like
oh Lord, here we go.
Look. We all watch Fresh Prince of the Bel-Air, right?
Yes.
Yes.
And we all remember the Fresh Prince's friend Jazz, right?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. And we all remember what Uncle Phil used to do to Jazz, right?
Mm-hmm.
Throw him right out the front door. Throw Aaron Greenberg's ass straight out the front door. I am so sick of this guy. I'm sorry. And I'm like, look, and I'm pretty sure he's a nice guy. I never talked to him before personally. I'm pretty sure he's a nice guy. I'm pretty sure he's working hard. He just doesn't really have it to get this turned around. I'm very concerned about their messaging and their marketing when they have their rumored to have so many different SKUs coming out next year.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I mean, for the casual market, I can see messaging being really bad. And when messaging was bad for just the Xbox One back in 2013, and you couldn't tell people accurately really what you're trying to do with this. And then that's just one SKU. And you got now multiple SKUs, and you're bringing in xCloud, and you bought all these new studios. Excuse me. You got Game Pass, and you're not marketing any of these things well right now in 2019. I'm very concerned. Metro Exodus, you got the marketing for. I've seen more commercials. I've seen more talk about Metro Exodus. I've seen more commercials actually too for Metro Exodus than I've seen for Crackdown 3.
Yeah, it's crazy.
What?
Yeah,
Metro freaking Exodus. Look, I'm Metro's a fine series, but this is the most I've seen any kind of hype for a Metro game ever. Yeah. It's weird that Crackdown gets none of that. And we got Forza Horizon 4 comes out. Let's get all these C-list celebrities to come out who don't play games to drive and on a pretend like they're playing the game, driving the car looking silly. Like, how is this promoting the game? I don't care what Tyrese or Megan Fox think about gaming. What is happening here? Yeah. And there needs to be a change. You need a shift. We need someone who's a little bit more innovative in how they think about marketing a product, and someone who has a better pulse on what gamers want. And that we need someone like that. Maybe they need to hire someone from the outside to come in. Maybe not, get rid of Greenberg, but don't necessarily promote someone from under him up to his role. They need a different voice to help them figure out how to make Xbox a bigger part of the mind share in the overall gaming community. Because as of right now, like, marketing isn't just marketing a particular game and a particular piece of hardware. It's about how your brand is perceived. And right now, the Xbox brand, I mean, we gotta keep it real. I play my Xbox more than I play my PlayStation 4, but I gotta keep it real here. The Xbox brand is not perceived in a positive light. Still isn't. It's changing. as you know, and it started with E3 last year. It's changing. It's getting there. People like Game Pass. People like they purchased 6 studios and added and created a 7th one all in 1 year. Stuff that you just don't see anyone else do. All that stuff's great, but the brand image is still largely the same. It's still tarnished, and you need someone who's going to come in, have some fresh ideas, and to turn this thing around. And I'm just very concerned for them going in, because it seems to me like they're doing everything correctly, but this marketing part.
It definitely has a question mark for sure, and it's going to be. Listen, I hope that we're all wrong. But Eric, right. I want to bounce something off you. You know, in 2013, we saw the collapse of all of the groundwork done during the Xbox 360 era, and you know, to Microsoft's credit, the major damage that was done, 2 people in particular are no longer with the company. Don Matrix, you know, Donnie D, as he's known as, and Terry, the human roadblock Meyerson, are no longer with roadblock. And listen, I don't have a lot of connection in the industry, but I heard that from someone within the industry, that's what they secretly used to call him, because he put the kibosh on everything Phil Spencer wanted to do. So he was known as the human roadblock. Okay, now these guys are gone. Right. And we know what they're doing, but the messaging and the people in charge of getting this message and the marketing out, they haven't changed. And we haven't seen much of that change whatsoever. We saw the money being spent. Right. They're spending the money on the studios. Right. Game Pass success. You know, Satya Nadella said it, that they have big plans for it. But I gotta wonder, man, is he disappointed in the marketing? Because I am as a fan. But what are your takes on the messaging and marketing from Microsoft in this generation?
This generation, it's been pretty much non-existent.
Yep.
And I think their biggest problem is they keep talking to us, who were there like in the 360 generation. You said it best when we first even got into this conversation. It was a different vibe with the 360, and this is gonna sound bad, but I don't think Xbox is perceived as cool where 360 was perceived as cool.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
You know, 360 was everywhere. You saw logos in MTV, you saw logos at games, you saw, you know, in movies. It was everywhere. And it was cool. It doesn't have that same perception right now. And I want to go back to like the Game Pass thing, and like what Enrique was saying, I would be like dropping flyers from an airplane over a mall and just saying, you can get all these games for $10 a month. If I had that growing up, I would have lost $1, right? But the problem is, I know people keep saying like on Twitter, well, you know, we talk about XO, well, that was like an advert for Game Pass. But again, it's an advert for Game Pass for the people who already are in the know about it. That same energy you need to take to a new audience. And that's where what Slow-Mo's saying is coming in. You need that person that knows how to connect with that. They keep talking to the echo chamber.
Yes, I agree.
And not the masses. You know, we're there. You know, whatever it may be, we're going to be there and we're going to check it out. But you got to get that new audience. And I think that's kind of what Sony has been really good at. And actually, that's kind of where Nintendo has picked up where they fell with the Wii U. I've seen them advertise the Switch on like Nickelodeon, down to HGTV at 10 o'clock at night.
Yep.
You know, they're throwing this thing at everybody, and it's paying off.
Well, the biggest win for Sony in this generation was the casual market, which makes up, and this is my opinion, so don't take it as fact or gospel, but I think at least 70% of that near 100 million consoles, which would be 70 million consoles, are casual players that buy 3 games a year if you're lucky.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, that's facts. That I'm not making that up, folks. I mean, this is the casual market is what Microsoft looks to be going with with the ProjectX-Cloud.
It's actually higher than that, Boom. I think Matt. We had Matt Piscatello on the show. Did he say it was 90%?
Jesus, I didn't. You know what?
Mm-hmm.
I did not.
I think. Did he say, Eric? Am I misquoting him? But it was.
I can't remember for sure.
I think it's higher than 70. Boom.
I undercut it because I didn't want to sound like a knucklehead. But
no, it's fine. But like, I think it's higher than 70, man. I think it's closer to. 90 from what Matt was telling us, I think.
Well, listen, I got to figure out your connection. I'd love to get Matt on the show. But real quick, a huge thank you to my brother in blue from across the pond, Al Hogan, with the $25 super chat. And he says, hey, Boom, listening to the show on my way to KC for the AFC Championship game. That's dope.
Yes, let's go Chiefs.
Yeah.
Go Patriots.
Love your shows. Praying for an Xbox exclusive Splinter Cell. Take it easy, man. Yes, of course, that is something after the
praying for that.
Yeah, that tweet from I was actually going to call Mike Ybarra the Loki of Microsoft because he loves playing games. But that was a good point, Eric. That was really well thought out, and I 1000% agree with you.
Hey, Boom.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I just want to play devil's advocate here. I think if we're comparing Sony to Microsoft, I think in a lot of ways it's a little unfair too, because remember Sony's been in the entertainment industry for a long time too, so they're borrowing a lot of experience and from movies and music too, and where Microsoft's always been a software company. So
yeah, I agree with you. I agree with what you're saying, and yeah, you're right. We can't compare apples to oranges. I completely agree with that, but at the same time, you have to look at this is not Microsoft's first rodeo. They did really well in the Xbox 360 era, and it seems like they're turning the ship. The ship has been turned around. No one's taking away from that.
Right.
But Gaming Forte, I want to get your opinion on this. Since Phil Spencer was promoted in 2017, the company's been on a roll. There's just no doubt about it. He is really taking the reins. I mean, look at just what he did. He fixed the hardware with the Xbox One S and the X, right? New inventive services took the industry by storm, such as Xbox Game Pass. We know what they're doing with the cloud. The checkbook was open. We talked about it a few minutes ago. They bought 6 studios. They made the first ever in this generation quadruple A studio. But with all of that's been done right, it seems it would almost be a misstep or a missed opportunity if the messaging is not done correctly. What are your takes on that, dude?
So, shout out to Phil Spencer, because I think he's the main reason why Xbox is in the place it's in right now, because overall, he was able to bring a plan and put it in place for Satya Nadella to approve, to be able to have all these awesome acquisitions of these companies, to actually get all of these services off the ground. So I think on the back end, everything is what it needs to be. Now you're talking about what the viewing public sees. And it kind of baffles me a little bit, because if you look at the NFL, what's the number one thing for Microsoft that you see at every NFL game?
Is the Surface. Yeah.
It's the Surface Pro.
Yep.
Everybody, it's like Surface Pro is everywhere, dude. It's like, Microsoft knows how to market. And I used to always be like, I was like a couple of episodes ago, probably a month ago, we had this conversation on BRAP, and we were talking about Aaron Greenberg. And I actually fought for Aaron Greenberg a little bit, because like you did say, Terry Myerson was the anchor that held down Xbox, because everything had to go through him. And how much money is he actually feeding the platform to actually do that marketing? Now, they had a lot of acquisitions over this year. We don't know how the budgets are broken down to actually, account for that stuff. Microsoft also might be looking at it like, hey, we already know this generation is pretty much lost. They're literally just safeguarding everything for the next generation. And the one problem I have with that is you kind of don't need to wait for anything at this point. Everything needs to be thrown out the window. All the old plans that you had in place when it comes to marketing and developing, that stuff needs to all change, because right now you're on the cusp of a new generation, and people are going to start making their minds up on these systems going forward within the next 6 to 12 months. As soon as these systems become available for pre-order, people are going to be running out to do it. Yeah. I also think losing deals like losing the Call of Duty deal really hurt them a lot, because a lot of those people went over there, and that was a big part of Microsoft's marketing strategy, having the third-party games supplement all of the games that they were missing first-party wise. That's how 360 survived all the way to 2013, between 2009 and 2013, because we know first-party surely didn't do it. They were too busy making Kinect games for some reason.
Yeah,
but
you're right.
But overall, it really just comes back to what helped you be successful in the very beginning. Microsoft surely knows how to throw a show together, but do they know how to speak to the people that don't play games all as much as we do? We can go to an E3 and go to FanFest, and we'll get that great experience of knowing the whole roadmap of what Xbox is through the whole course of a generation. Even 2-3 years down the line, there's people in this community that can't speak about it, but they can tell you right now that, hey, the future is bright for Microsoft. Just wait and see what is coming. But guess what? The whole entire fan base doesn't know that, and people give Sony, like, they give them the hard time because they talk about games so far out in advance. Guess what? I'd rather know Last of Us 2 is coming out at some point than not knowing it's coming at all, because it makes me want to get into that platform. It says, hey, PlayStation has something that I know is only on that platform that I can get. Microsoft hasn't shown me anything. Yeah, they put out a bunch of studio things that they're actually going to be making, but what are those games going to look like? On top of that, when are those games going to come? You want to be able to get that fan base riled up. People only have so much money to spend because everybody isn't like BoomStick and like Gaming Forte, where we run out and buy every collector's edition that comes out on the planet. You know, so they need to start doing this stuff now and stop waiting for Sony to drop the foot first. They need to do what they need to do to get the player base back in line.
Yeah, I agree. And B Money, you know what? Close out this awesome topic and the show as a whole, because I know you have some stuff to say. You know, again, I don't think I can stress as a fan. Again, I'm a diehard fan. I'm the hardcore. I think everyone on this panel is the hardcore fan. Microsoft really doesn't have to sell anything to us, but they have to sell it to the casual gamer, which they're going to, I hope, do in the proper manner. We know the xCloud is coming out. We know it's going to be that $100 device. How important do you think it is? But, you know, we know Anaconda is going to sell. We know, you know, Lockhart is going to sell. But if they want that casual market, the people that don't buy 18 games in the month of February, which is what it's looked like it's going to be, how do they sell the $100 box to these casuals? And how important is that for next gen?
I think it's super important. I think, you know, like Forte was saying, I think the marketing needs to start now. It actually should have started last year. Yep. Once Sony announced that they weren't going to be at E3 and they were going to pretty much have a quiet beginning of the year, I would have, you know, went to the marketing team and said, let's ramp it up right now. Let's get the marketing, because everyone knows that there's a new Xbox coming. You know, Microsoft has already announced that. So start, you know, marketing your services, marketing the big games that you have coming, because all of that stuff is going to transition to the next platform anyway. So, you know, pedal to the metal and kind of get the casuals on your side, because I think the one thing that people, you know, aren't giving Sony credit for is they have been super quiet, and they have made some transitions, you know, behind the scenes, you know, with the crossplay thing, you know what I mean, adding downloads to PlayStation Now. Yep. And it wouldn't be a surprise if they add backwards compatibility. So if they bring those things to the platform and they continue their marketing push that they've done this entire generation, you know, what does that mean to the casual going into next gen? You know, going to buy that PlayStation 5, you know what I mean? So do all those things matter to them at the end of the day? So if I'm Microsoft, I'm going pedal to the metal. You got to go hard in marketing. You got to get the marketing correct, the messaging correct. And then with the $100 box, like you can't go wrong. If you're going to put Game Pass on there, then it's got to be super heavy. The Super Bowl is right around the corner. It's in 2 weeks. If there's not a Game Pass commercial during the Super Bowl, that's a huge miss. That's a huge miss. You already have the Microsoft the NFL deal. You already have your product line on the NFL field. Why not have a big commercial talking about Game Pass, explaining what it is, explain that Crackdown will be hitting it in just a few weeks, and you have other big games coming. Yeah, and for $9.99 a month, you get access to 200+ games. You can't go wrong there. So if their marketing is not correct going on throughout this year, I think it's a huge misstep, because I think Nintendo has the ability to step in that place and really get in the front of gamers' minds. You know, they've sold 20 million consoles in 2 years.
Yep.
So they're right there. And who knows what their plans are as far as upgrading their console and what their future looks like. So they can become a major player depending on what they do in the future. And I think Sony's still gonna hold strong. So Microsoft has to step up to the plate and be ready to come back going into next generation, because I think a lot of people feel like because they have xCloud, because they have Game Pass, because they bought these studios, that's a win for Microsoft going into the next generation. And that's not the case. You know what I mean? You still got to get out there and fight for it.
Yep.
And everybody doesn't have a unlimited budget. You know what I mean? When it's time to go to release, you might have to make a decision. And if you buy one particular console and feel like you like that console, can rock on that console for a couple years without having to go to the other platform, guess what? That's who you're gonna roll with.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you got to remember they have all the people from that bought PS4s now, and they're invested in that ecosystem because a lot of digital sales and
and that's a big thing. So let's just say that Sony comes out and says that everything's backward compatible. Your digital library moves with you. Why would you leave?
Yeah, I put it this way: I wouldn't leave. It's going to be a hard. It's going to be a hard sell. I hope that because I hope they do the right thing with this marketing. 3 SKUs is going to. I don't think it's going to confuse people, but if they want to get the PlayStation player to buy into this new ecosystem, they're going to have to do some serious marketing. But I'm going to say this has been an outstanding 2 hours. I actually cannot believe we were only to be able to get in 3 topics because I had a shit ton more stuff to talk about. But my wife is cooking dinner and everyone here has got to move along on this Saturday. And I want to thank everybody in the chat. Like I said, once again, I've been told this numerous times. I run a very, very nice chat, and I'm very proud of the way people treat each other in this chat. It's a big deal for me because I like to befriend everyone. I like to give everyone the benefit of the doubt, and I like being the internet good guy. I like to hang my hat on that title because there's too much nastiness in this world, and I want to be a part of the good part of what we think about when you talk about online entertainment and communities. Of course, my panel has been nothing short of amazing. Like I said, I'm going to be doing a lot of advertising for your channel. I want to get you past that 1,000. I hope that by the end of the day, I get a private message from Enrique to say, hey, Boom, guess what? We did it. Because you guys deserve it. You guys are really passionate about gaming. You have a lot of important things to say. And I just really do like the chemistry that you guys have. But Enrique, I want to do your outro proper. Listen, like I said, you're one of the first people I listened to when I left mainstream media. I think that you have an amazing, passionate view of the industry. Sometimes we disagree on media bias. I don't want to get too much into that. But I respect your opinion. Tell everyone where they can follow you on Twitter, and more importantly, sub this amazing channel.
Yeah, Boom, I just want to say thank you again, man, for having us on. And I tell you, man, you're one of the hardest workers in the business, man. We always compliment how prepared you come and how much planning you put into this. A lot of people probably don't know this guy really plans this thing out well. Is very detailed, and no, seriously, I mean, we love it. I mean, it makes our jobs much easier when we come on as guests. But no, man, thank you so much for having us on and trying to get the word out on BRAP and help us get to 1,000. It's been a great 2-year run for us, and it's been a grind to get to where we've been, but all of us have enjoyed every moment of it, and again, man, from my heart, man, I really appreciate everything you're doing for us, for the community, man. So big thank you again.
Oh, thank you, dude. I appreciate it.
No, absolutely, man. And anyone listening, if you want to follow me on the Twitters, you can. You can find me at BRAP _podcast. And definitely give us a follow on YouTube. You can find us at the Basement Ready Arcade Podcast on YouTube. Like I said, we've had some industry guests on. We had Davey Jaffe on this past Wednesday, and we're actually working on some other industry guests. Believe it or not, I can tell you that we are working on getting somebody on from Digital Foundry. So
nice. That's strong.
Yeah,
that's strong.
Yeah. So hopefully that happens. We're trying to work out the logistics right now.
Okay.
So that might be like a special like Saturday brap or something. But yeah, we're just yeah, give us a sub. Like I said, we're all passionate gamers. We don't do the fanboy stuff. We just like talking about video games.
Well, listen, dude, you guys do good work, and I hope that you, by the end of this show, you get your 1,000. Slow-mo backslap, I want to talk with you, brother. Listen, you've been on the show numerous times. I secretly gave you a key to the castle, so you're welcome anytime. Listen, tell everyone where they can find you, and more importantly, listen to your work, because I think you do a lot of good work in this community. And you deserve the for people to listen to what you're talking about.
Thanks, Boom. I really appreciate that. The words are, it warms this old guy's heart.
Who just turned 35, by the way.
Yeah, 35.
Right.
38 minus 3. You can catch me on Scumcast, which is actually when I'm done here, I'm gonna jump on Scumcast and chop it up with the Ash and Luca. I'm likely going to be Zalker over there, probably
nice.
The real Masterland. You guys know how we get down. It gets a little wild, it's a little crazy, but it's all in good fun. You can catch me on Twitter by the same name, Slow-mo backslap, spelled exactly the same. And yeah, like this is great, Boom. I really appreciate you having us on and just presenting us in this manner to other gamers who may not have heard about the podcast, because I think we bring gaming news and topics in a different way than you hear anywhere else. Everywhere else is always kind of like that fanboy slant, and it's like, and I think we have a balanced panel that can actually, like, we may prefer certain things, but we bring a very objective perspective that is 100% honest and really fair to the industry people out there. I think that's why they don't mind coming on.
Well, that's definitely important, dude.
Yeah.
Well, listen, dude. Again, I listen to your the show because you do get these industry insiders and big time developers, and not a lot of people can hang their hat on that. Eric J. Listen, again, you are a lot of fun to listen to. You give your opinion. You're straightforward. I love that about you. Tell everyone where they can find you on Twitter, and more importantly, listen to you weekly on the Brat Podcast.
Oh yeah, you can find me on Twitter, ecjaxson with an X. And yeah, Wednesday nights on Brat Podcast at 9 o'clock. And yeah, I just want to say again, Boom, this has been a great and a real honor to be on with you, man. Like, your grind and your hustle is admirable, bro. Like,
I appreciate that. That's really awesome of you to say, dude. Thank you.
Yeah, and you're bringing like a different flavor. We talk about this often, that we've noticed a shift in the community in general. Like, it seems like a lot of people are like kind of moving away from the nonsense and kind of just looking for good content and looking for good people to truly talk games with. And I think guys like you are leading the charge. Guys like the Iron Lords are leading the charge. We want to try to be in there and do the same thing. So yeah, man, keep grinding, bro. And again, we appreciate this.
Well, thank you very much. That's very kind of you to say. And like I said, I like to be positive. And of course, talking about positivity, I have to talk about Gaming Forte, because he does bring the positivity to your show. I like the fact that he is like me, who buys everything, or at least tries to. Tell everyone where they can find you, dude, and listen to you, more importantly.
Oh man, first of all, man, I was there when you started your channel up, and I DM'd you and I told you, man, said one day you're gonna make it where you want to make it at. And look, 2,000 subscribers, almost at 2,100. You have not only made it possible for other people to have a voice in this community, but you also encourage me to be better at the content I make. Just looking at your preparation really makes me look at the way I prepare, and I'm like, man, I got to prepare a little bit better now. So seriously though, but I really appreciate the invite, man. Everybody on Brat, man, I've been a part of this community for not that long, but ever since I joined it, it's been a humbling experience. But anybody that wants to hear me rant, you already know me and Slow Mo. That's our biggest thing on Brap. Me and him go back at it over and over. Not so much lately because we've been kind of agreeing with each other. But that's going to probably change a little bit more with Division and Anthem.
I was going to say Division 2.
No.
Division 2 and Anthem comes out. That's going to probably change. Also, you can catch me on my own YouTube channel, Gaming Forte. I do Destiny, Division, and Anthem videos over there once that start coming out. And then Twitter, of course, Gaming Forte. But boom, this has been the greatest thing ever. I actually got off work early today to make sure I was a part of this, and I appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate you being here, dude. Like I said, it was important to me to get everybody on the crew here, and you deserve the positive accolades that you're going to get. You're going to get that 1,000. And last but certainly not least, B Money. Look, B Money. You're an important part of this crew, and on top of that, you're an important piece of Tick. And I think everyone should check out the website because it is fantastic. The writers that you have put together on there are amazing, and probably some of the best articles I've read personally, as opposed to like the mainstream media, the way they just have these people that puts these sloppy couple sentences together and get paid. They do it well there, and you're an important part of this show. Tell everyone where they can find you, and more importantly, check out your work.
Yeah, man. Boom, thanks for having me on. It's been a pleasure. This was an amazing show. It was great to get back with the crew, on a Saturday. So I appreciate you for having us on. And thank you for, checking out the website and taking a look at the writers that we have over there, Sam and Nick and Chico and those guys over there. They've really done an amazing job and built that website up to what it is today, and we're just going to continue to grow. So I appreciate that very much. But you can find me on Twitter, man. Same handle, BMoney101. You can find me on your local, gaming platform. Same tag. You can also find me on the Tick Podcast every Saturday at 10:30 Eastern Standard Time. So come through tonight. We'll be on there. Myself, Cal, Sam Tolbert, Delilah HD. Tyrant Clowns and Post Up. So, we have a great show tonight. Come through and check it out, and you'll see me again here on every Wednesday.
Nice. Well said, dude. Once again, I want to thank everybody in the chat. Of course, I want to thank the amazing super chat. And I also have to thank my panel for taking the time out of their busy Saturday to hang out and give us all the background info on the Brat podcast. I want to just make a quick announcement before we get out of here. Next month's guest for February is going to be Mooch and Crap from the MNC Morning Show. We're going to get their origin story. And of course, bring your earplugs because Mooch is going to be yelling at everyone as always. But thanks again, everybody. Have a magnificent Saturday. Be safe. Be kind to everyone that you meet online, because you know what? Don't be a keyboard cowboy. Be a good community member and treat everyone the way you want to be treated. Have a great Saturday, everybody. Take care.
Later, guys.